CZ455 here, and shooting at 250 yards, and I have a homemade bipod leg extender on here. And the objective today is to find out if it makes me that much more steady. I can tell you right off the bat, one thing that's a little funky is that the weight has just changed dramatically. My clearance is good. I have a short barreled, like a 16-inch barreled rifle here. It's not very long. That's something you'd have to be conscientious of, is overall barrel length. Just in case you have a little flex in your stock or something, and they could actually meet up and you would shoot your extender. Throw a couple out on some paper here, and we'll see what happens. One thing I can tell you that I really do like about this improvised system, which again, the only thing that this is a 30 millimeter pipe with a scope ring, and then like an additional on the other end, there's a 30 millimeter scope accessory ring with Picatinny mounted the reverse way for my bipod. And it's heavy because it's actually just a big thick piece of aluminum. It's nice and stiff, you know, and I'm not worried about weight, because this is something I'm going to use when I'm just shooting, you know, longer range or ELR. Right now, I'm just shooting at 250 yards. I shot at some paper, about a 4-inch group. When the wind dies down like now, I'm definitely getting reasonable sized groups. When the wind picks up, I'm getting flyers for sure at 200 there on paper. But now 250 yards, I might go between steel and paper here and just kind of see what the results are. It's kind of interesting because my data is just slightly different than it usually is, and the temperature is warmer. You know, some people say rimfire is pretty sensitive. Well, color me surprised. It actually makes a difference. I'm not going to say it's like night and day, but it is reasonably different. The steadiness that I can achieve while this is mounted up, it's noticeable. I shoot this distance pretty often, and so I know when it's different. There's a car driving by. You probably couldn't hear that, but let me hit it one more time here. Hopefully you can hear those hits. Easy hits all day long. That's at 250 yards, and of course I'm using a big 1/3 size silhouette target, so it's not like a tiny target or anything, but it's missable, especially when I'm sitting this low down. I think I need to prop myself up a bit. Super steady in the reticle. Dialed it up back and forth between low power and high power, and you notice it at the high power for sure. Very much so steady. All right, so with the wood stock, it's fairly rigid and worked just fine, but with the polymer stock, let's see how this works. All right, so when running on this 26-inch Savage 12FE with the original stock, that's a polymer plastic something or other stock, and the connection is just fine, but the flex is incredible. That added a lot of wobble on every shot. I don't think my shot group was even sub MOA, and this is a very tight shooting rifle, and so not an improvement, definitely a detriment on a soft stock. I think the difference I'm seeing there with the other rifle is that it has a wood stock and it's incredibly rigid compared to this whole getup. The attachment method is the same, but the stock itself, composite material, plastic, rubber, whatever these stocks are, it seems to work fine when there's a bipod attached directly to this point. Any extension though, not a good decision on this. I think these DIY projects are going to work better on chassis and really rigid stocks. Like if you have a Manor stock or something that's pretty trustworthy in that way, I would go for it with that, not something rubbery. And be careful again on your overall length. I was a little close here. I was checking it just about every shot to make sure I didn't suddenly have some interference issue, because I don't want to shoot it. It's a little close, so I would just be real cautious about that. If you have a really heavily free-floated barrel, you might just get a little more arc in that thing and end up shooting it. So overall length, I'll probably take this home and chop it just a little bit, and I'm not going to use it with this Savage 12FV. I'll probably just use it with my 22, and for that, actually, it worked great. Really stiff, rigid stock. I have a 22 with a Boyd stock. I think it's going to do great on that. It's a laminate wood. This one, however, that's a no-go. If you have some experience with extenders, bipod extenders, pre-made or DIY, if you've used some of the high-end ones, I would love to hear your experience with the carbon fiber types, what it's done for you, what you've experienced with different types of systems, chassis, or stocks. I would love to hear about that. Otherwise, guys, that's just a quick video showing you something I'm working on.